Close your eyes for a second. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing half your face is just gone. Not scarred, not bruised, gone. Your upper jaw has been ripped clean off. There's no hospital, no painkillers, no ice pack, just you, the ocean, and whatever prehistoric nightmare decided you looked tasty. Now open your eyes, because that actually happened. And somehow, the creature survived for over a year. Welcome to the Hall of Fame for prehistoric toughness. Today, we're counting down the most insanely brutal injuries ever survived by ancient animals. Wounds that would kill a modern human in minutes. Injuries that make getting a paper cut seem like absolute child's play. These aren't just fossils, they're receipts, proof that life before humans was unbelievably hardcore. And honestly, some of these stories will make you feel like an absolute wimp for complaining about stubbing your toe. Let's dive in. Number 5 on our list takes us to the bottom of the ancient ocean. Cretaceous period. Roughly 66 million years ago, the age of marine reptiles. And our contestant, a prognathodon, one of the largest mosasaurs to ever exist. Now, if you don't know what a mosasaur is, picture a crocodile. Then make it the size of a school bus. Give it massive conical teeth like pocket knives, and make it swim like a torpedo. That's a mosasaur, apex predator. Nothing messed with them except other mosasaurs. Because here's the thing about being an apex predator. Your only real competition is your own species. And mosasaurs, they were cannibals. Frequently. Which brings us to specimen NHMM 201272, discovered in the Netherlands. And when paleontologists dug it up, they immediately noticed something was very, very wrong. Its face was missing, not damaged, not scarred, missing. Huge chunks of its upper jaw, bone, skull fragments, all stripped away by something unbelievably powerful. And based on the bite marks, another mosasaur did this, probably tried to eat it alive. Now, pause for a second. Imagine your entire upper jaw gets ripped off. You're in the ocean, miles from shore. No hands to cover the wound, no way to stop the bleeding. And remember, this is 66 million years ago. There's no such thing as medical care. You'd be dead in minutes, right? Wrong. This prognathodon survived for over a year. The fossil shows clear signs of healing, new bone growth, tissue regeneration. The wound closed up. But here's where it gets horrifying. The trauma was so severe that blood flow to parts of its face completely stopped. Sections of its skull became dead tissue, necrotic, and then bacteria moved in. Infection set in. Deep, bone-rotting infection. And eventually, the prognathodon reached a point where it just couldn't operate its jaws anymore. It starved to death. Not from the injury, but from the infection. Months later. Let me repeat that. It was fine, without half its face. The bacteria is what finally killed it. Certified prehistoric badass. Number 4 takes us from the ocean to land, but we're staying in the Cretaceous. And we're meeting the undisputed heavyweight champion of prehistoric carnivores, Tyrannosaurus rex. You've heard of T-Rex, everyone has. Massive jaws, bone-crushing bite, apex predator, king of the dinosaurs. But what you might not know is that being king came with a price. Let me introduce you to Stan. Stan was a T-Rex discovered in 1987. Massive specimen. 38 feet long, several tons. Absolute unit. And when paleontologists examined the skeleton, they realized Stan had been through hell. Puncture wounds on the back of his skull, deep, wide. Only one thing could make a mark like that. Another T-Rex tooth. Stan fought brutal battles with other tyrannosaurs and survived. But that's not even the worst of it. A bite to the base of his skull literally broke his neck. His neck. The thing that holds your head on, snapped. For most animals, that's game over, instant death. But for Stan, just an inconvenient Tuesday. The bone healed. Badly. 2 vertebrae fused together. Excess bone growth. Chronic pain. Limited mobility for the rest of his life. But he kept going, kept hunting, kept fighting. Oh, and he also had fractured ribs, bites to his jaw, cheek injuries, and bone-eating parasites in his face. Literally, holes in his skull where tiny organisms burrowed in and fed on him while he was alive. And you know what killed Stan? Old age. He lived to be 24 years old. Respectable age for a large theropod. All those injuries, just part of the job. But Stan isn't even the toughest T-Rex we've found. That honor goes to Sue. If you like dinosaurs, you know Sue. Most complete T-Rex ever discovered. Over 40 feet long, 14 tons. Absolute titan. And Sue makes Stan look like he had it easy. Damaged shoulder blade, torn tendon, 3 broken ribs, all from struggling with prey. And not small prey. We're talking other giants. Triceratops-sized animals. Sue got these injuries mid-battle and just kept fighting. But the injuries didn't stop there. Enlarged fibula from infection, fused vertebrae, arthritis in the tail from repeated trauma, gout, a complex form of arthritis that causes severe joint pain, and parasites. Just like Stan, holes in the front of Sue's skull where organisms burrowed in and ate the bone, while Sue was alive. And despite all of this, Sue lived to be 33 years old. The oldest T-Rex specimen ever found. Reached full size, thrived, dominated. Talk about built different. Number 3 takes us out of the reptile world and into mammals. Specifically, prehistoric humans. Because if you thought T-Rex had it rough, wait until you meet Neanderthals. Let me introduce you to Shanidar 1, nicknamed Nandi. A Neanderthal who lived roughly 50,000 years ago in what is now Iraq. And Nandi was the definition of tough. When paleontologists discovered his skeleton, they immediately knew something was wrong. His bones were severely deformed, broken, mangled. Let's start with his head. Early in life, Nandi took a crushing blow to the left side of his skull. Not an accident, a weapon. Blunt force trauma, shattered his left eye socket, blinded him, and left him with permanent brain damage. The injury damaged the part of his brain that controlled his right side, which led to partial paralysis. His right arm and leg withered, shrank, became almost useless. But we're not done. His right arm was broken in multiple places, maybe from a fall, maybe from another attack. And the breaks were so severe that his lower arm and hand were missing, possibly amputated surgically. Both legs were broken, either at once or in separate incidents, left him with a severe limp, and then he fractured his right foot. So now he's limping on a broken foot with a withered leg. Oh, and he was deaf. Completely blocked right ear canal. Partially blocked left ear. Couldn't hear much of anything. And his teeth were worn down to nubs from using them as tools because his arms didn't work. So eating was painful, drinking was painful, everything was painful. And on top of all that, he had a condition called DISH, abnormal bone growth all over his body, chronic pain, stiffness, limited mobility. Nandi should have died within weeks of his first injury. There's no question about it. A blind, deaf, partially paralyzed Neanderthal with broken limbs and chronic pain. Dead. Except he wasn't. Nandi lived to be 45 years old, an elder by Neanderthal standards, the oldest individual in his cave. How? Help. His group took care of him, fed him, protected him, kept him alive even though he couldn't contribute much. One paleontologist put it perfectly. Nandi survived because his group cared about who he was, not what he could do. Prehistoric healthcare, turns out it worked. Number 2 brings us to the Ice Age, and to one of the most iconic predators to ever walk the earth. Smilodon, saber-toothed cat. And just like T-Rex, being an apex predator in the Ice Age came with risks. The La Brea tar pits in California have given us over 8,000 cases of Smilodon injuries. Broken teeth, fractured bones, infections, you name it. But one specimen stands out. LACM HC131, a Smilodon pelvis discovered in the 1930s. And it's absolutely destroyed. The right hip is malformed, misshapen, heavily damaged, while the left side looks totally normal. Scientists originally thought it was a traumatic injury. Something hit it, crushed it, but recent scans revealed the truth. This was a birth defect. From infancy, this Smilodon's pelvis started growing wrong. The socket and ball joint, obliterated, completely dysfunctional. Now, you might think, okay, broken pelvis, not great, but survivable. And for modern humans with access to surgery and physical therapy, sure. But this is a saber-toothed cat. In the Ice Age, hunting mammoths, competing with dire wolves and short-faced bears. A broken pelvis means you can't run, can't grapple with prey, can't defend territory, can't hunt. It's a death sentence. Except this Smilodon lived to adulthood, which should have been impossible. So how? The same way Nandy survived help. Scientists believe this is evidence that Smilodons lived in groups, family units, and this injured cat's family shared food with it, protected it, took care of it, because there's no way it survived alone. The pelvis would have caused chronic, debilitating pain. Even if it could move, it couldn't do much, but its group kept it alive anyway. Prehistoric empathy. Who knew? And now, number 1, the injury that should have been impossible to survive. We're going back to dinosaurs, Hell Creek Formation, 67 million years ago, and our victim, an Edmontosaurus annectans. Now you might not have heard of Edmontosaurus. They're hadrosaurs, duck-billed dinosaurs. Often overlooked, but they were massive, elephant-sized, absolutely enormous herbivores. And this particular Edmontosaurus had a problem. A huge chunk of its skull was missing, not damaged, not cracked, gone, violently removed, deep gouges, drag marks. Something bit its head and ripped the bone clean out of its body. And it didn't just take bone, it took skin, meat, possibly an eye. An entire section of its face above the right eye was stripped away. Fossilized. So what could do that to an elephant-sized dinosaur? What predator could bite that hard? One answer: Tyrannosaurus rex. A T-Rex bit this Edmontosaurus in the head and failed to kill it. The fossil shows clear bone regrowth. Healing. This hadrosaur survived a headshot from the most powerful predator in history. Let me say that again. This dinosaur got its head partially ripped off by a T-Rex and lived. If that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will. 5 specimens, 5 impossible survivals, and every single one of them proves the same thing. Prehistoric life was unbelievably brutal, but it was also unbelievably resilient. Prognathodon survived without a face for over a year. T-Rex fought through broken necks, parasites, and arthritis to live into old age. Neanderthals cared for their injured and kept them alive decades past what should have been possible. Smilodons lived in groups and protected their weakest members, and hadrosaurs walked away from T-Rex attacks. These aren't just cool fossil stories. They're proof that survival isn't about being the strongest or the fastest. It's about adapting, healing, enduring, and sometimes it's about having help. Because whether you're a mosasaur, a tyrannosaur, a Neanderthal, or a saber-toothed cat, one thing is clear: life finds a way, even when it shouldn't. Thanks for listening. And remember, the next time you complain about a headache or a stubbed toe, just think about Nandy. The blind, deaf, partially paralyzed Neanderthal who lived to 45 with a smile. Or at least, we hope he smiled. Until next time.